Hey, soul survivors. I got this excellent comment from a viewer, and they had said, why does a narcissist lie when the truth is so much easier? So let's talk about that. Is it easier for the narcissist to tell the truth? It's not. It is so much more difficult for the narcissist to tell the truth. They use lies as a survival technique. And sometimes that's hard to understand why they do it. A lot of times they even make up lies that don't need to be said. Some of that's out of habit, or some of it's out to get a kick out of you, but they don't want to take accountability. So if they tell you the truth, they're afraid of the confrontation, the discussion that needs to come from that, the possible outcomes. So we are living in an altered reality based on lies. And they know that if they say that they cheated on us, or they didn't pay the mortgage, or whatever it is, that there's going to be a discussion. They don't want that discussion. It reminds them of their childhood where they were either yelled at or they just never experienced how to handle situations like that. So they will lie about doing things that they're supposed to do. They will lie about accomplishments because they just want to suck you in and have you admire them. And if they don't have enough for you to admire, they'll make it up. So sometimes over time, they forget what they said, or they counteract it. Let's say they had a felony and now they're, I don't know, a surgeon or something, where maybe you might not be able to get a license. And you're like, but wait a minute. And they forget all the little intricacies that make a lie believable. A lot of their lies are not believable. So it's like, just say the truth. And the sad part is a lot of times we would be just as loving if they just told the truth. Oh, you don't have that kind of job, you have this kind of job. And they just, for the life of them, that's their life preserver. They don't want to give up that life preserver. So they hold on to telling lies. But because of the lack of empathy, and because of the shame and the low self-esteem, that a lot of times they don't see that by doing that makes the situation even worse than if they told the truth. And it should be simple. A lot of times we're just kindly saying, how do you feel? Or did you get that done? I'm not yelling at you. I just want to know, do we have to plan so we can make sure we get the mortgage paid? Or I won't go shopping this week. I can wait till next week. We're just trying to have conversations with them. But because of how they handle it, they take it as a personal attack. So they don't want to be attacked. And that's where things get all skewed, is we're trying to just communicate, not trying to judge, unless it's certain extreme issues. But in extreme issues, those are breaking your boundaries. Those might be deal breakers. And they know that. That's why they don't tell you. And if they would just not do those things because they know how it'll affect you, that's where the empathy comes in. But they just want to do what they want to do. And for them to tell the truth, all the dirty laundry's out. And it can be overwhelming. And they're shameful of their skeletons in the closet, their dirty laundry. So they just keep it packed away, but they have to give some kind of answer because communication is key. So they feel they're communicating with us. And then when it gets to a point that we're either catching on or not buying what they're saying, that all hell breaks loose. We'll either get the silent treatment or we'll get things put right back onto us. And it can be extremely frustrating because we don't deserve that kind of abuse. We should be in a relationship where you're building a foundation, but the foundation has so many holes in it because we think those rocks of the foundation, an analogy for the relationship, we think those rocks are in place, but there's nothing there except lies. And if you think about it, lies deteriorate the foundation. So not only do we have holes in the foundation, we have stuff eating away at it. And we can pick up on vibrations, we can pick up on idiosyncrasies that we start seeing the holes in the foundation of our relationship. And so we kind of panic. We want to fix it. And we try to communicate more. And we see the devaluation stage, we see the relationship falling apart. The more we work on it, the more we get discarded. And that's why We have to be cautious on how we handle narcissists. They have a whole different way of thinking. They will look at the negative instead of the positive. So when you try to discuss things, they take it as a personal attack, that there's something wrong with them instead of something wrong with the relationship. And they don't want to work on themselves. So if they see something wrong with themselves, they get hurt. They feel that we don't like them. And it's a reactive thing, that reactive to what they're feeling. It's not what you're doing. And it gets really frustrating because we try so many different ways to communicate with them. They literally, a lot of times, don't understand it, because they're like, what are you talking about? Or they think we're too sensitive. And when we try to reassure them, they don't believe us because that hasn't been their experience in their life. So is the truth easier? It would make more sense. But for them, that is the most difficult thing to do, is to be honest. And comment below on some of the crazy things they've lied about, because there's times, they just lie about silly things, and it's hard to keep track of that. The narcissist will fill in the blanks when they can't remember, or they try to backtrack to cover themselves on a lie that's starting to be exposed. But it'll drive you crazy. It'll drive you crazy if you're trying to have an adult relationship. And, some of it is poor communication. Other times it's selfishness, but a lot of it is disregard, because once they have to focus on you, the attention's off of them. And they only want positive. Well, it's kind of crazy. They want positive or negative attention. They thrive in chaos. It's where their neurotransmitters aren't making connections, and they're trying so hard to make that connection that they just will do anything for that connection. So once they get into that mode, they don't care if the attention is us apologizing for them lying. And it's weird how it works, but a lot of us have been taught, to work through it, to talk about it. And eventually we start thinking, like, why is this person getting so upset? And for some reason we kind of put it on ourselves, like it must be my fault. And if the narcissist would listen to learn what we're trying to say, but they listen to defend. They're always on the defensive. And unless you're building them up or going with the flow, they also get frustrating because you try to communicate, like, hey, what do you want for dinner? They're like, oh, I don't care. And you're like, no, seriously, what do you want? Last time we had an issue, and I want to make sure, I love you. I want to make sure you get what you want. And they're like, anything's fine. Then you bring them something, and then they bitch you out. We start having no safe space in this relationship. And that's when it turns toxic, because we keep trying to communicate with them. The more we communicate, the more they take it as a personal attack. And you would think, just be honest. But for a narcissist, that's torture. And that's why it's so hard to get them into truthful, effective counseling. It's hard to get them to commit to it, and there'll be excuses. And it's just an unsafe environment. But no, for the narcissist, the truth isn't easier. But if they would come up off the truth, at least try it a couple times, they just don't have faith in themselves. So they project a different image. I hope that was helpful. Topic requests are welcome. We had this topic based on a viewer, so thank you.